Hi guys, welcome to DM Talk. Tonight we have a lot to talk about, but just a reminder: tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central, we have. There we go with the umps. I don't know what's going on with me today. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central, The Light, episode 4. Episode 4. Check us out. Tomorrow night. That's 2 umps. It's crazy. It's just driving me crazy right now. But check us out tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central. We're going to have a great time. A bunch of guys, a bunch of my players are going to have a wonderful time, continuing the adventures. And we played Dungeons and Dragons. And that's all I have to say. Those of you who played Dungeons and Dragons, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Let's go over these topics tonight. There's 2 of them tonight, and I think they're kind of fun. They're nothing really aggressive. I've been talking about really aggressive subjects for DMing and so forth. But this forum is pretty open-ended, pretty loose. I like it that way. It's very comfortable for me. I unleash. Sometimes I don't. And a lot of times I like having fun, and tonight I'm having fun with this. It's 2 topics. Topic number 1, we're going to talk about creatures in your story. I know that kind of a connection of creatures of the realm because I love creatures. And the creatures are a very big part of Dungeons and Dragons. What type of creatures do you use for your campaign? Now, depending on what you got, if you have a horror mystery, obviously you want to take a look at the multitude of creatures in the monster manuals. There's plenty of content in there that you can use to make your game intense. It all depends on your theme, your overall theme, and what you want. That's important because you don't want your group to be bored, do you? You don't want to sit there and then all of a sudden the group is bored, and now they're hurting for, hey, well, what happened, Henry? Why didn't you use a proper creature? And it does happen. I think in a game in general, the game can slow down if you don't have the right creature in there. But it could speed up as well. They could one-shot your creature. And sometimes dice rolls suck. And a lot of times when you're playing a game and as a player, you one-shot a creature, it's fun. You're like, yeah, they get this urge, this aggressiveness when they play the game. And I'm talking about my players. They get pumped. And it should be because it's fun. You one-shot at a creature. Now, what if they don't? What if they're having problems? So it can work both ways. The balance, it teeter-totters. And when you have a creature that's one shot or a creature that's tough, players like it. I like a bit of both. I like having challenge. And you want to one-shot a creature? Hell yeah. It's awesome. It's the greatest feeling ever as a player. And if you're playing a paladin, ranger, a rogue, a cleric, whatever class you decide to play, that creature is powerful. And if the creature is powerful, and then whatever class you play, you one-shot the creature, huzzah, yeah, you kick some butt. That's exactly the way it should be, right? Maybe, maybe not. And for those of you who know me, they know what I'm talking about. Here we go with the umps. I don't understand. It's very difficult for me today. I don't know why I'm doing that. So let's get back to the creatures. So let's take a look at what type of creatures you can use. And there's a bunch of creatures. You can even use a fairy dragon. We went over that. Lizard folk, I used them. I used that creature in last episode, a lizard folk. There is a glare in my watch. There is whatever. But anyways, the lizard folk are kind of cool. Lizard humanoid lizards, and Heck, man, you could use these creatures in your campaigns. Really, you can. There's nothing wrong with using a low-level creature, low CR creature, high CR creature, depending on what you want to do. Now, my advice for you as DM, creatures, give or take. I love making homebrew, but there's something beautiful about using random chart, rolling the chart, and then looking at the DM's guide. I mean, at the monster manual. It's great. It takes a lot of tension and ease off sometimes. The pressure. You're writing, you're going into the story, and now you can focus in the story. Don't have to worry about, oh man, what type of creatures you're going to fight. Because sometimes those creatures can be a real pain. Because, let me get my water, excuse me. Sometimes when you have a creature in a setting, that creature may not be the right one, or that creature might get one-shotted because you just quickly made something up and you weren't ready. So when you have a random chart, you could go ahead and just select a creature from there and boom. I think that's great. I have a friend who uses random charts all the time, and that's great. Random charts are wonderful. Before season 2, I never used random charts, random creature. I just picked and went on, and I got the feeling or the scenario that you're in, how to use that creature. You know, if they're in a road, you know, you see a pack of wolves, you might see a giant, a forest giant. You know, you could, whatever homebrew creature or monster manual creature you want to use. I mean, that's great. Now, let's talk about what's important. The important thing in a battle, you want to have balance. You want to have balance. You want to make sure that everybody is having a good time. Like I said before at the end of the Creatures of the Realm, if you're not having a good time in your story, you're not going to get anything done. You're not. That's just the way it is. The creatures are very important to Dungeons and Dragons. If you are going to the Fey realm, you better have the Fey. You better have fairies. You better have fairy dragons. You better have, in that environment, you better have those type of creatures. Because if not, the story is going to pay. It's going to pay the price. You're going to pay the price. Because it's going to be boring to to your players. And you don't want that. You don't want it to be boring. You want it to succeed. You want your stories to succeed. You want things to move. You want things to flow like a river. You don't want it to be stale. You don't want to just be upset at yourself. Oh man, I could have done better. Yeah, you know what? Shit happens. Things happen in a game where the DM, is doing so much, they get tired. DMs get stuck. We're all human, and guess what? There's nothing wrong with that. It's all in fun. Once all that frustration sets in, then you're not having fun. Then it causes your campaign, your one shot, whatever it is, to fail. You don't want to fail, do you? So the only way to change things is to take the initiative and look up, do random rolls. Take ease off your story. Take it easy. Random rolls. Boom. Random rolls, you look. Oh, look, I'm making a random roll and it lands on an orc or it lands on a hydra. Well, within reason, guys, because it's not going to land on the Hydra because the Hydra is way too powerful for the party. That it's the level 4 party, level 5 the average level. It's you all know how to do that. You got to make sure that the CR rating isn't extremely high, enough for them to be killed with one swipe. So what you do is you make sure that everything balances out and you roll. Now, the most important thing in that combat scenario is this. Once you have your random roll, you make it, you look, there's got to be an apex predator. Put one in there, a little stronger than normal. Here you go. Here I go again with the If you have a list of creatures on that top of the list, make that one be the big bad, the strongest one, the one that could possibly wipe out your characters, your players. Is that good? No, but it's fun because you roll and you get that number and the creature's in there. But also too, and this is important, in the DM's guide, there is a mountain area, Underdark, different scenarios, different environments where the creatures are located. That helps out a lot. You don't want to have an ice giant, in the desert, or you don't want to have an ice giant in a swamp. It just doesn't make sense. So you go look it up, get an idea of where the creature and its environment is at. Use that creature accordingly because you want your party to have fun. Everybody's going to have a great time if you do that. But if you have like this random creature and then your party, they're like, where did that guy come from? I mean, it happens, right? Did he go through a portal? I mean, was he dropped from the gods? Those are the things that you really have to look at. The most important thing in the game and part of the essence of Dungeons and Dragons are the creatures. And creatures are a lot of fun. If you guys seen the Dungeons and Dragons movie, I'm sure a bunch of you guys have already. That was great. I've had discussions on the main character per se. Main character he would look like a bard. He was multi-classing. You can go ahead and throw the rules out left and right, and you know what that film was about. High fantasy, dragons. That's the essence of Dungeons and Dragons. The creatures, the fantasy, high magic. That's what it's all about. And if you don't have your creatures where they should go in the environments that they belong in, there's going to be a problem. You can get away with it a couple times, maybe 3. But once your players catch on, they're going to be like, dude, what's up? You shouldn't do that. You should not do that. And the reason being is because, again, you want to have fun ultimately. And then your players are having fun. You're having fun. The game progresses and things are 100%. Even if it's 90. Hell, even if it's 80%. Everybody is having a good time. Strive to do things the best to your ability. That's it. Give it 100%. Give it 100%. Try it. You have different creatures in different environments. You put them in there. Boom. You have a story. Once those creatures are out of their environment and you throw them in, it gets crazy. Players get angry, and you don't want that to happen. Now, what does that mean for a DM? If you have your creatures in your story, how do you make those creatures work in your game? Okay, so in my Vecna one shot, or a 6-part story. I'm sorry, 3-parter. I'm going longer. So my 3-part Vecna story, the players were paramilitary. I had a lot of Spelljammer in that story. They were on the ship. The pods were dropped from the ship. The ship was called the Intrepid. And those individuals were military. I used fantasy and sci-fi mixed together. I've always wanted to do that, and it was a lot of fun. And when the pods dropped, they broke. They crashed. The pod kind of cracked, and they came out, and they went out into the swamp. I used zombies. From the swamp, they went to a forest area, which they encountered an entity that was part of the trees. It was a homebrew character. That entity used her power. The vines animated, everything. They just wrapped around their ankles. They pulled the players from their ankles up. So the entity in the forest had a lot of strength. So from there, the players went to a cave. And in that cave, finally, they found Vecna. That was my Vecna story. I've always wanted to do one, and I did. But he was very different than the Vecna in the stories, Dungeons and Dragons Vecna. I changed them up, and I loved it. You know, the guys liked it. It was a great story. I do have it on YouTube. Check it out. The 3-part Vecna story. And to make a long story short, these players, those creatures and their environment, it made sense. The zombies were in a swamp. You're in a forest, and you have this entity that controls the trees and the forest. She was part of that environment. When you have a creature that's not part of that environment, it doesn't make sense. You know, the players might get a little upset. That's just the way they roll. That's the way things roll. You want to do things right. Try to, at least. So, anyways, to continue on, they went into the cave and they fought Vecna. Vecna had more zombies, more undead. So, they had one hell of a battle. And it was a 3-part story, and it started in the ship in space, in the spelljamming ship. And I had this story connected to Earth, and Dominulus, which is my realm, they were transported there. Yeah, I even threw aliens in. It was great. I love using sci-fi, fantasy. Those are tools to intensify a game. You can do that. And as a DM, you could use those little plot points to bring things to life. Now, topic number 2, and it kind of connects with topic 1. Topic 1, I talked about creatures and their environment and how do they work in a campaign or a story. Topic 2, NPCs, good or evil. You can use an NPC arc or template from the source books. You can do it. And will it be good or bad, depending on how you roleplay it? You could have the best written template. And if you don't roleplay that character, there is no way in hell you're going to achieve that character's essence. You're not. If there's something that's supposed to be embodies evil, then do it. Don't play a good guy, because good guys are not going to get it done. So if you're playing an evil orc, then act like an evil orc. He draws his sword. Here's the sheet. He attacks. He does the grumbling sound. You see the protruding horns, the tusks, lower chin. I mean, those are the things that embodies what Dungeons and Dragons is about. Don't be a robot. Okay, I am going now. What are you doing, Roll? No, don't do that. Try. You don't have to do a voice. I'm not a voice actor. I do my best to come up with voices. I do. And if it sucks, it sucks. Big deal. And I'm recording for everybody to see. You're doing your best. You're making it fun for the players at the table, people on screen. You're making it fun. That's what it's about. So anyways, you have your NPCs. Do you make them devious, evil? Is your big bad the type that just sits back and has minions? His underlings, his acolytes go out? Is your minion cannon fodder? Oh, I got a group of goblins. There are 5 of them. Well, players can use overkill. Those are the things you have to look at as a DM, as a player. You're there for a reason, is to have fun. We already talked about that. Because if you don't have fun, there's no way you could play the game. You could be the best DM in the world, and if your players are not having fun, then what you achieved is cannon fodder, just like those minions. What are your NPCs' motivations? What do they aspire to do? See, in my games, my big bad, what they know of season 2, the party, I have a pirate theme, and the main guy, the captain, they've only met once, a glimpse. He's not going to wait for the party to get to the next section. He's not going to wait for the party to say, hey, give me that item. I'll take it from you later. No, his motivations are very different than the party's motivations and different NPCs around them, and he's going to do what it takes to get it done, and he's going to continue. If the party goes here and they miss their opportunity, the way I write my stories and the way I do things is consequences, and if they miss their opportunity, then they miss their opportunity. That's just the way it works. They don't wait. Freeze. Wait a second. You haven't gotten to your second checkpoint yet? Whoosh. Oh my gosh. No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't fucking happen that way. And let me tell you why. Because you as a DM, and you can do it this way. I'm not forcing anybody to do it this way. I'm just giving you advice. You as a DM takes a scenario, take your main big bad, and move on. If his motivation is to get the gold, then let him get the gold. And if he achieves it, and he gets to that point in your story before the players get there, then he does. So the players find an empty room, a treasure chest with no treasure. Oh, damn, that was silly. Well, maybe if they would have not screwed around 3, 4, 10, 15 episodes behind and actually looked around, investigated more, then maybe they would have gotten the breadcrumbs. Or maybe the breadcrumbs were there. You placed them all over. The players did this. I mean, What more can you do? There's only two things that you could do at this point. At this point, you run with it. I said that a couple episodes ago that when you improvise in a scenario, in a scene, that helps. And a lot of times, when you improvise, it helps the scene, it moves things on. You have to know how to do that. If you don't, the game will falter, slow down, and then it'll just come crashing, and people won't come back to your game. Now, are all DMs perfect? Absolutely not. Nope. Everybody makes mistakes. Players have the knowledge and the tools to make things happen for them and them alone. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's all part of fun. If the players are scheming and you're the villain and your NPC's there and they don't trust the NPC, then that's great. You've done your part as DM. They are doing their part as players. They're having a great time. And let me tell you, having a good time is half the battle. Yes, I can hear that G.I. Joe theme right now. Having fun is half the battle. And when you sit here and you're looking at your party and they're scheming, a smile comes to my face because they're having fun. They're getting into their characters. They're getting into the moment. That's what role-playing is about. Role-playing is not a board game. Role-playing is not sitting and just talking. We can do that anywhere. Role-playing is getting into your character the best of your ability. And even if you don't have a voice, an accent, who cares? Try one. It's fun. It really is. It's all part of role-playing. It's the essence of Dungeons & Dragons, the essence of Cyberpunk, the essence of any Palladium system game, the essence of role-playing. You can sit here and tell me, Henry, what's going on? Why is that NPC quiet? Maybe the NPC has problems that you have to find out. Nothing wrong with that. Maybe the NPC is there for a reason. Maybe the NPC is acting. Maybe that NPC is a damsel in distress. Maybe the NPC is an orc that's badly hurt, but not evil. Not all orcs are evil. Maybe there's a flipped over wagon. And there's a husband and wife in that wagon. And that wagon is obliterated. And the debris, and part of that debris is smashed into the chest of the husband. He's bleeding profusely. Maybe the NPC is that elf in the forest running away from his adversary. And you and your party is traversing in the forest, and you hear something in the back, the breaking of leaves, and you see this elf running at incredible speed. Well, so what do? Those are NPCs. I love NPCs. I have a lot of NPCs in my game. I love just making characters. That is fun to do. Can making characters or NPCs be a little tiresome sometimes? Yes, it can be. But ultimately, for me, I love doing it. I can do it all day. How that person thinks, yes, I think about as a person. Because it is, you're putting life into it. And anytime you put life into a character, It becomes that entity. An orc, an elf, area kokra, a tiefling fighter, a monk, a paladin, an artificer. That's all Dungeons and Dragons. What does this mean? Why is it so important? It is important because it's all part of the game. If you don't have those elements in your game, it's not Dungeons and Dragons. Most people, excuse me, I have to have some water. Most people take the game for granted. Yeah. I said the G word. For granted. Yes, I said it. And they say, here's what they do. Players do this. Oh, we're going up against DM's gonna throw us a purple worm. Well, let's see. Purple worm has a armor class of 18, 247 hit points. I know what we're up against. Maybe I can grab my pouch, have a little magic here, and I'll take that worm out really quickly. Well, that takes the fun out of everything. That's what I mean about taking it for granted. Okay. Here I go with the sorry. I was away from that for a while. When the players take the game for granted, it ruins the outlook, the ambiance of the game. If the DM throws out a purple worm, don't go in the book and look it up. We all know digitally you have access. Don't look in the monster manual and see the weakness of the creature. What I do, I change a creature up a little bit. I do. So, little beefy hit points, armor class down, maybe throw in a couple spells, whatever. Because a lot of times, players, not saying that I don't trust them, players, they look. And there's nothing wrong but looking. But they're taking the game for granted. They really are. And I say that because that's just the way it is. Don't do that. Don't assume that creature has, oh, well, hell, I killed it. It's 247 hit points. I hit it with 300 with my team. I should have died. Why not? Fuck. What do you mean, why not? It's funny because as a DM, it's incredibly frustrating when players stop and they say, well, you should have had this, or he only has this. He only has 3 resistances. He only has, how many legendary actions? Well, hell. It all depends on how you run things. And if players are going to pull a fast one just because they're doing it just to be jerks, then don't do it. Don't do it. Remember, having fun is the number one thing. And if you have an NPC in your game, an NPC, people, here we go with the people are not liking that NPC, and for some reason, the way the DM role plays it, the players are like, well, I don't want to go near that guy because he's evil. Why is he evil? He didn't do anything. Well, he has a shifty look. What do you mean, shifty? He's got a scar on the right side. I don't trust him, and he's got a lot of weird marks on his arms. They're only tribal tattoos. Doesn't matter. They look kind of fucking weird. Well, I don't know what to tell you. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Get out of my way. What do you mean, get out of my way? Nah, we're going. We're leaving you here to die. Well, when the players do that, it kind of puts you in a pickle, don't it? That's where you have to think for yourself, improvise, and say, well, now, he says, wait, don't go. I said we're going. Don't go. I have something for you. What? I got some gold if you could help me. My town is being attacked by orcs. What? Orcs? Hell. Really? How much gold you got? You know, bring them in. Bring them in your store. Bring them back. If they trail like you're fishing, get the bait. Get bait that's going to grab that fish. The fish is going to come to that bait. Grab the hook and the bait. Pull. You know, pull that fish out of the water. That's what you have to do. Easily. Bring your players back. You can do that. There's many reasons you can do it. Don't just assume that your NPC is going to be saved. Don't assume. Because if you do that, it can ruin a story as well. Now, how do you develop a character? Let's say the character or the NPC in your game has malevolent. Sorry, I cannot talk today. Let's say that NPC has malevolent aspirations or motivations. You know, he wants to do something evil, but something is holding him back story-wise. Maybe, you know, his wife doesn't want him to do something wrong. You know, doesn't want him to avenge the death of their children by the tribe, the orc tribe. His wife doesn't want the fighter to go out and get killed, but he does. He doesn't want to tell this other party that he met in the forest that he doesn't want to go to the orc tribe, or he does want to go to the orc tribe, but he needs some help. That's why he gives them gold. Hey, give me gold. Here's gold. Help me out. We can help each other out. Take this tribe out. They got some good stuff, but his motivations are evil. On the way to the orc campment, the orc camp, the one leading the other party there decides to betray them, and walk away as that party gets slaughtered with the orcs. Having that one extra person would have helped, but now it's 1-for-1, and the party wasn't strong enough. They needed that extra hump. You could play it like that. Nothing wrong with it. How do you hide that as DM? How do you guys hide it? Let me know in the comments. How do you hide a betrayal? How do you hide someone that's a turncoat? How do you hide all that? Do you let them proceed? Do you let them wait in the shadows? What do you do? How do you do it? There's things that you can do. What I do is I would get emotional, get into the heads of the players, find their weaknesses emotionally, and pick that up little by little, each player. And have that NPC just, oh, you love to say people, so do I, but my family was killed by a horde of zombies. I didn't know how to come back. It was devastating. But you bring that emotion out, that emotion, that level of understanding, the party will embrace that. There's nothing wrong with an emotion. Bring that emotion out, that love. Oh, I did this, I did that, and something happened. And then later on, you grab the dagger, and you look at them, and you betray every one of those party members. And when you do that, it will cause huge consequences. Not only in the NPC, but with them as well. Because now they have to make a choice. Will they kill this friend of theirs that they've had for a long time, that betrayed them? Or are they going to let them go? It's all up to you and how you run it. That's why it's important that you have creatures, and this all ties in even with creatures of the realm. That's why it's important that all these creatures belong in their environments, that the NPC that you made has some form of emotional attachment. That's part of writing. If you have that attachment, you can grab the emotion of the party, and then the least expect it, crush it. And when you do that, it will open up a vacuum. And that vacuum is where the story takes off. Because emotion in your NPCs is the core of Dungeons and Dragons. Now, what do I mean by that? I mentioned role-playing your creatures and your NPCs. Make sure you role-play them. You role-play them, number one. You roll your creatures and your NPCs. You role-play it good. You don't have to be a voice actor. You don't have to be an actor. You can still do it. But don't be robot-like. Just do it. Make it flow. Secondly, I mentioned that sometimes as a DM, you're going to, and I mentioned this before in my other episodes, improvise. Improvise, improvise, improvise. I mentioned this a lot. It is another key. Because if you don't do that, your story is going to hurt badly. And on top of that, once your NPC gets going in the party, they become friends, and the emotional events come and go, bring them in more. Oh, yes, I remember that day I lost my best friend. I call him Sam. He's a hound, and Sam was a good dog. He died in the hands of that orc tribe. Them bastards. I found him. His legs, his head, he was split apart, blood everywhere. I couldn't handle it anymore. I want those orcs dead. But that tribe did nothing. But you see, this NPC keeps pricking and prodding emotionally. Pricking and prodding. Boom, boom, boom. That's how you do it. Now, if you're giving your best performance, and think of it like you're on stage, you're making a movie, just give your best performance. That's another part of this, is your performance. Give it your best performance. Try. Stay away from the robot dance and just try. Give it your best. There's nothing wrong with that, is there? The main parts of a story, the beginning, middle, end. You have your beginning, your middle, and your end, where it goes, how it should go, how it flows. The same thing goes with your NPCs. They should have emotion. They shouldn't be dry. They shouldn't be shallow. Have emotion. If you want them not to talk, then fine. But start acting like it. Like there's something wrong, something bothering that NPC. Give it life. Give it meaning. All of you are going to say, oh, you're crazy. It's just a fucking game. Yeah, you're right. It is a game. But that's part of role-playing, isn't it? You are role-playing. You are like acting. You are making that character, giving him life. You put all that choice, all that time into creating a character, and then you're just gonna play him like a robot. Really? Really, guys? Why? Make it your best effort. When you role play your NPC, deliver the best possible performance. Your players will love it. Oh, wow. That was amazing how that shopkeeper just kept talking, and then all of a sudden he gave us a lot of stuff. I mean, your best performance. Don't just sit here and wait and be all robotic. Yes, can I help you in the shop? No, give it your best performance. Give it. So what if you're not an actor or a voice actor or whoever? Just play. That's the way I've always done it. You don't have to give a voice. You don't. But just act like it. Oh, I pull my sword out. You hear the shit. The light shines on the blade. You see a reflection of your adversary as you turn the blade. You can still do that. Describe it and give emotion. You don't have to act, you don't have to do the voice, but it's cool to do a voice, isn't it? It makes it fun. Nothing wrong with that. Look, I'm 52 years old. I love Dungeons and Dragons. I love role-playing games. I've been role-playing since I was a kid. And they were fun. I've been through the good and the bad and the ugly. Because there's a lot of people out there that are going to say, hey, look, and this is going to be my third topic. I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to say it. There's people out there that are very negative towards role-playing, and hey, that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But I'm entitled to mine, and my opinion is this. Role-playing is fun. Role-playing is enjoyment. It's 4.5 hours of time that you are with your friends, sitting, making characters, or in your campaign. If they're in a campaign, telling a story. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, that's silly. It's for children. No, well, it can be. They're for all ages. But you have to do things differently on a child level. I tried with my daughter role play. She's not into it, and that's fine. She tried, but she's not into it. You could play around with it to make things easier for kids to understand. And 5e is the best system to do that with. That's just my opinion. Obviously, you're not going to have a young kid playing an OSR. I mean, they can, but you have to tone it down for their mind and their level. Obviously, you're not going to describe a scene with a bunch of blood and so forth. Tone it down. Way down. Almost at the G level when you're playing with a young kid. And that's all you have to do. It's fun. It makes the game move for kids, for adults, and folks that are older than I am play. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people have a very negative view of role-playing games because they don't understand it. What they don't understand, they fear what they don't understand. That's what I wanted to say. And fear is very dangerous. If you have fear, then it destroys everything. Don't fear it. Role-playing is fun. And for those of you out there in the streaming world that do not like role-playing game, that's fine. Turn a channel, read a book, go watch a movie. There's nothing wrong with that. Do other things, but don't complain to other people and say, well, you're wrong. That's evil. No, it's not. It's not evil. Why is it evil? Because I'm using demons. I'm using different creatures in it that are not good. You get the same thing reading a book. If I read a Stephen King book, there's a lot of evil in that book, right? No, it's just a book. The guy is amazing fiction-wise. The guy is an awesome writer. You're going to read books. You're going to enjoy books. You're going to enjoy film. And if you're watching someone stream, you're going to enjoy it or not. If you don't enjoy it, turn the channel. But don't say it's evil because in your mind you fear what you don't know what's going on. All of a sudden you think it's evil because you fear it, because you're afraid of the situation, because you don't know what these guys around the table are doing. Why are they rolling dice? Are they gambling? Why are they talking funny? Oh, that's too much. They can't handle it. Why? The guys around the table are role-playing. That's Dungeons and Dragons. That's Cyberpunk. That's multitude of OSRs. Robotech. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Whatever you want to say. That's another role-playing game in the Palladium system. Don't sit there and mock them because you don't understand it and you fear it. You're afraid of it because you think it's evil, because it's not a godly way, right? No, there's nothing wrong with that. We're not doing anything evil. We're not hurting anybody. We are sitting at the table, we're role-playing and having a good time. And for those of you who think that it's evil and doing wrong, then you're doing wrong by judging those people that you're watching. Because you don't know and you fear that they're doing something wrong. So instead of doing that, do your research, buy a book. Read about it. Read about Dungeons and Dragons. Read about role-playing games. Oh, that's not good. Well, you go to a movie, right? That's rated R, NC-17. You watch a horror movie? Well, it's not good for you. Well, I'm sorry. That's my opinion. I love movies. Just like I love Star Wars. There's a lot of people who don't like Star Wars who love Star Trek. And that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But don't tell me that it's evil. Because it's not. It's clearly not evil. It's only evil if you see it that it's evil and you fear that what you don't know. You're fearing because you don't know what's going on. And you are fearing that these guys around the table are going to hurt themselves, and they're not. They're all having a good time and having fun. So what's wrong with our society that we have to judge people that are doing things differently just because they don't go out the way you do? doesn't mean that they're not having fun, doesn't mean that they're having a bad time or they're doing something evil. No. The good thing about role-playing is camaraderie. You're with your friends or family. I know folks that the wife, the husband, the kids, they all role play together. And there's nothing wrong with that. So if you fear it so much and if you judge it so much, then judge that family that's supposedly doing wrong, right? Because in your eyes, you see things differently and you're blocking your vision. Instead of doing this and opening your eyes for everyone. Everybody's having fun. You're not having fun because you think it's evil, you think it's wrong, and you're judging those people at the table. Or you're watching a stream and those people are doing something evil. No, they're not, because you fear it, you don't know what it is. Instead, you point the finger and that's all you know how to do, and that's completely wrong. This is a big topic for me because I'm 52 and I've seen it a long time. I know people who point the finger, even today, 2024, because they don't know. Oh, you're reading about a demon. So? Oh, you're reading about a zombie or a dragon. That's bad. Well, so? Am I hurting anybody? Do you see something evil in front of you? No. The table's not levitating. Nobody's doing anything evil. Everybody's having a good time. And the problem is with people like that in our society is they point, they judge, and they have no clue what they're talking about. They have no clue whatsoever. They have a piece of paper and they say, well, back in the day, there was somebody who hurt their family and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? That was back in the day. Things happen. I mean, there's a term for that, you know. So instead of educating yourself, you want to go ahead and judge people left and right. Don't do that. We're all gamers. And gamers is a big umbrella. It could be role-playing, Dungeons and Dragons, or a gamer could play video games. The same people that are against video games are the same people that judge the role-playing community. They do that multiple reasons. Fear. The very reason why they do it. Because they fear it. They don't know what it is. But I guarantee you, if they sit down in one session, they'll have a blast. Oh, that DM's really good. He comes up with a good story. Oh, wow, it looks like they're having a great time. They're going up against a dragon. They're in a fantasy setting. And they're not hurting themselves. They're having a great time. You see, fear? Funny how I'm wearing this. I'm talking fear. But fear is part of the problem. It's not the only problem. It's part of the problem. Fear and judging. Those two are side to side. When you fear what you don't know and you start judging, then that's the problem. Then that's where aggression comes in, but it goes the other way around. You're saying those people are doing wrong, but then you're doing wrong because you're being angry, you're getting pissed at the people on screen, and you start texting, and then you start throwing them messages and comments about things that never happened. You start saying, oh, you know, things are great, but they really aren't, because you start spewing hate, and it's wrong to do that. It's wrong to really do that. And when you don't know what's going on in the gaming community, then you shouldn't sit. You should just keep your mouth shut. That's the only thing you should do. It's a big deal for me, this topic, and I wasn't going to go over it, but I decided not to go over it because it's a big deal. We talked about NPCs, we talked about creatures, we talked about a lot of things, and it's great. Those are the fun things. But I also want to talk about things that are negative as well, which is what I brought up. Folks that are judging people, folks that are saying things they shouldn't say because they don't know what they're talking about. Is Dungeons and Dragons evil? Absolutely not. Are role-playing games evil? Absolutely not. They're not evil. They're not. I said this as a kid, and I'm going to say it as an adult. Role-playing encompasses the extension of your imagination. And that intensifies your train of thought. Your thought process intensifies your creative part of your brain. There's nothing wrong with that. It's like an artist who draws a spaceship, an artist who draws a flower. If those people in the game, if they don't have fun, and if people around them start judging and they start throwing hate at them, because now they're gonna say, well, I don't, maybe it is evil. No, it isn't. Take it out of your mind. It's away. Take it away. Erase it. Goodbye. We know what evil is, but it's not in a role-playing game. Evil is not anywhere near the games at all. I've said this multiple times as a kid, and I'm saying it now. I'm not going to change my train of thought. I'm not. I didn't then. I'm not now. Or in my life, there was a time where I did give it away, but not anymore. Absolutely not. When you're an adult, you kind of think, you're like, hey, those people are just being rude. And that's basically what it is. So, I'm going to end tonight's DM talk with this. Have fun. Number one, have a great time with your players, with your friends, family around the table, because Dungeons and Dragons is where it's at. Not just Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of role-playing games. And when you're role-playing with your friends and family, just know that you're not doing anything wrong. You're having a great time. Give it your all. Act the way you want to act. You don't have to have a voice. You don't have to be a voice actor or an actor. Just do the best you can and have a good time. Ultimately, that is part of role-playing. That's the essence. And don't forget that, because once that is gone, then guys, there's no extension of the imagination anymore. It's gonna fizz away, and you don't want that to happen. Anyways, that's all I got. I hope you enjoyed this episode of DM Talk. Tomorrow, 8 p.m. Central. Today, later on in the evening, 8 p.m. Central, we have episode 4, The Light. We're going to have a great time. I have a great bunch of guys. Hopefully, I will get rid of this part. Ooh, it's annoying. Stay with us. I have great content coming and more. Subscribe, like, send a love, let everybody know. Either way, I'll see you guys later this evening at 8 p.m. Take care.